Hi darlings, thank you so much for joining me on the Creative Retreat channel. And today I have a Bible journaling process for you, but not in my Bible. I'm actually going to be creating a tip in for my study Bible. I am going to be I'm still working through Acts of Prayer, which is our June Faith art box written by our very own Julie. And I wanted to kind of journal this section here about communication and how we should pray often. And I'm going to be basing this from 1st of Thessalonians chapter 5, verses 16 through 18, but with a real deep focus on verse 17, which calls us to pray continuously. So I have pulled out some of the Creative Retreat inks that I want to use, so I can use this beautiful tie-dye stencil, some blending brushes. I'll be using some of the sticker alphas for sure. I've also cut out some of the pieces I know I want to use from the Faithful Digitals. I have a couple of journaling cards that I will include as well to do some journaling or a prayer, and hopefully use some of these enamel dots that were an add-on. So I'm gonna put you on fast forward, tons of goodies. Let's dig in. So I am going to start off by making the base of my tip-in. I'm using the backer of one of the Creative Retreat products, so I can go ahead and kind of make it the same size. And I'm using a 12 by 12 cardstock in white, and I'm just cutting it down so I can have something that's about the size of my tip-in. I grabbed my Bible and kind of put it in there to make sure it's the right size that I want, and it is. So I am now going to open up the inks that I have so I can make sure they're ready to use. And then I also grab a baby wipe because that's always handy to have, especially when you're using inks and stencils. I'll grab some washi as well. You see me place that on the back of my hand. And I'm going to set up my stencil to how I want to use it. I use blending brushes with inks, which I love. And this is what I'm going to use to blend that color through the stencil. So I put one for each colorway, which I already have. And then I'm going to lay down that washi and then start from the outside going in. So I'm going to start with the lightest color and then continue to build. The reason I did this is because I know that if my brush tends to overlap, the color before it is a color that it will blend well with. And I hope that makes sense. So the blue and the red together, I don't mind if they blend because it'll make a purple color, the yellow and the orange and the red, so on and so forth. They're colors that if they blend together, it won't create this muddy look. So I did that at the top of my page, and I bring it over to the bottom left-hand corner, and I'm just doing the same thing. I start off with yellow, then I go with orange. I add on the pomegranate color, and then peacock blue. So the colors I'm using are yield, which is the yellow, pomegranate for that reddish pinkish color, peacock blue, and I'll double check on that orange color. I believe it's Sunkiss, but I can double check and leave that below. So I'm going to do it one more time because I love to work in orders of 3. This is such a beautiful stencil, and she carries these blender brushes in the Creative Retreat shop as well. So if she still has some in stock, I'm going to put them in the description box for you. So I flip over my stencil, and I'm going to go ahead and cover my inks and just use that same baby wipe just to wipe off that stencil. It's easy cleanup. Love that as well. So now that the backing is done, or the background, I grabbed the Faithful Digitals that I had cut out that I knew I wanted to use, and then I kind of lay them out in my page to see how I want them laid out. After I kind of get my groove on what I want it or where I want it to be, I start just taking off the backing and adding this on. I did print this on sticker paper, which makes it so much easier when it comes to assembling it because I don't have to worry about the glue, and it just makes for a quick page. So I love using the Faithful Digitals printed on sticker paper as much as I can. So looking at the verse in 1st of Thessalonians 5, verse 17, the verse literally says, pray continuously. And I love what Julie writes in this devotional. She says, communication is key to any relationship, especially with God. And then she says, if the Son of God prayed often, then so should we. When we talk about praying often, I love using the words to pray consistently, pray continuously, without ceasing. These are all terms that we use as Christians, but are we really using them? When I think of prayer, sometimes we think of prayer of just being, oh, I get on my knees and I pray, that once or twice of times a day. But Julie really goes into having a conversation with God throughout the day, just a continual communion with God, constantly praying and speaking to Him. And this is the type of prayer life that we really need, where we are continuously connected with God. And I believe that was what was behind the sentiment of pray continuously. So here I grabbed some of the pattern paper, which is one of the Faith-Filled Digital's sheets. I am going to use that. As you can see, I kind of measured it out, and I'm going to use that torn up towards the top and the bottom of my page. This sticker paper is easy to pull up, so I was able to pull it up and place it back down. But what I'm doing here is basically creating an outer edge for both, not both, but for my journaling card. That way, when I place my journaling card in the middle, it doesn't kind of look like it's floating. It really frames it out, so to speak. So I go ahead and lay those pieces down, and then I'm cutting off the excess on the edges. Now, I thought about maybe layering it with another journaling card, and then I end up just pulling some Faber-Castell Big Pip markers, and then what I'm doing is I'm just scraping the sides of my journaling card so it pops up off the page, and it kind of creates a frame. So now you can really see that when you lay it down. So off camera, I did some journaling on my journaling card, and now I'm using this corner round puncher. It's the We Are Memory Keepers Crocodile. And what I use it for is to round off the corners, because the speech bubble on the other side does have round corners. I thought it would be great to just make it all really cohesive. So I went ahead and did that. And now I'm going to pull this off of the backing and add that to the middle of my page. Now I'm going to use some of these tie-dye wonky hearts that I love so much, and I'm going to use this in 3 places as well. And then I'll also go in and outline those so they pop off the page. So towards the top of this tip-in, I'm going to use some of the stickers, and I'm going to add the words pray continuously. And again, I just think those are words that I want to have present, so it's perfect to add towards the top of this tip-in. I'm also going to outline these out so they pop off of that tie-dye background. And now, just as I did with the journaling card on the other side, I'm going to grab this teal Faber-Castell pen, and I'm going to outline the other side just to really frame in so it's not so stark white on the corners of the page. And I'm just cutting off the excess as I do that. These are just finishing touches that I feel like really rounds off your project. Now, I do want to add a tab at the top, so I'm going to add a tab on each side, kind of just deciding where I want my tab here. I end up flip-flopping that so the black and white is on the front, and then that tie-dye one is on the back or the front, because either side can be the front. One of the tabs was from the Cardstock stickers, and the other one came from the Faith-Filled Digitals. At the top, I'm going to add that verse, 1 Thessalonians 5:17. And then I'll add one more heart just to, add some more color to the top of my tab. Adding the date stamp on both sides here. And now I'm going to do what I had envisioned at first. So I am not sure if you have seen that image where it kind of starts off with, Dear God. It has a plethora of letters just falling in the conversation, and then it finishes off like amen. And I immediately thought of this when I was thinking of communicating with God and my prayer life and things like that. Because I will be real, darlings. Sometimes I just don't know what to say to God. Sometimes my head is either in a mumble jumble, or that day I just don't have words, and it's hard. It's hard to pray. But I wanted to really put this on here as a reminder that even when I don't have the words, it's still taking that time for prayer where God knows my heart. He knows what I'm trying to say, even if I don't quite have a grasp on what I'm wanting to say that day. So I'm also going to pull out the crosses from the stamp set. I love that she included these crosses. These are a staple for sure. And then I clean those off and put them back. And then I'm going to grab the word prayer, and I'm going to use that at the top of this tab right here. That is it, darlings. I love how this turned out. So now I have a little bookmark prayer tip in to have right in here in my Bible. And then of course I'll be able to see that tab up at the top. So I love that. And the last thing I'm going to do is just go in here with my Micron pink pen to kind of match the speech bubble over here. I'm going to go ahead and just box out verse 17. And that is it. That wraps up my page. So if you are new here, I hope you consider subscribing to the Creative Retreat channel. You don't want to miss any of the goodness that happens on here. Hit the like button and the notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. I will link everything that I use below. And I hope you try this. If you do try this tip in, definitely tag me. I'd love to reshare, and I will also be putting at the end of this video some still pictures and also the playlist for the June Faith Art Box. Thank you so much for joining me each and every video, darlings. God bless. Bye.